How have you felt since this all came out and more and more people want to know about Jodi Malpas?
It's a different level now. Before I kind of hid behind my laptop and all of the emails came in from all over the world and I could answer leisurely, if you like. And now people want to know about me, not just the story, and that's very daunting. Exciting, but daunting.
Was that something you'd ever considered when you started writing the books, that if they became famous then people would want to know the author behind the books?
I didn't think that, honestly. I thought if 100 women read it and love it, great. The reality is very different. I battled with self-publishing. I did the usual. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a clue. I approached a few agents in London and got the usual decline email. And then I started looking into self-publishing. It's really quite easy to self-publish. There's millions and millions and millions of books available from self-published authors. And to be recognised out of those millions is pretty incredible.
How did it feel, although you self-published, to get that book in your hand that you wrote?
Well, it's never been in my hand yet because it's not in fabulous. The Dutch translation has just published. When you get a publishing deal, they buy the rights, and it depends what country they buy the rights for. So, for example, my deal in the US is for worldwide English. So that's Canada, Australia, Ireland, UK, US. Holland, Hungary, Germany and Spain have all bought the rights as well, and then they sort of publish according to their catalogue. Holland, for example, is the summer catalogue. The US were aiming for next year, but with the sort of things that have happened in recent weeks, that's been accelerated now. And with your publishing deal, you get what they call, they do ARC copies, well, they're called galley copies, and they're basically, for promotional purposes, it's basically the book unedited in a paperback just for perhaps to send someone to read, whether it be a review or whatnot. And I've got that, but it's got no cover, it's just literally unedited book, no cover. That felt good, even though it's not the real thing.
So how did it feel then this weekend when a girl from Northampton is top of the best-selling list in New York?
I took that call. The list only published yesterday, the 21st of July. I took the call. I found out about it last Wednesday. It was 11 o'clock at night. Obviously, with New York working hours, I'm kind of dealing with the UK. 2 o'clock comes in the afternoon, that's when New York comes to life and they don't sleep. So once they're awake, I'm dealing with them. So I've just got into bed at about 11 o'clock and the house phone rang and I answered it and it was my agent. No, when it was my publisher first. And the first thing you think is, oh God, what deadline are they going to slap on me now? But she just said, so we've just had the New York Times list through. And I said, oh, am I on it? Because he's like, never, that could never happen. And she said, yes. I was like, oh God, wow. And she said, what number would you like to be? I said, I'll take anything on that list, thank you very much. And she said, how about number 1? At which point, well, I burst into tears actually, because I didn't quite, I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't have heard the whole of the office in New York going crazy in the background. And then I had to put the phone down because I couldn't form words. And then my agent rang me. I've got 2 agents, Kristin and Andy, who are just wonderful women. And they rang me. And yeah, they just said, this is huge. It didn't sink in really. She basically barred me from writing anymore for now and said to ride the wave, which I'm doing.
Does it feel a bit strange to... So how does it feel to have broken America before you've actually broken your own country?
I never ever anticipated selling a book in America. Didn't even enter my mind. The story is very British, and it's quite a topic of conversation how British it is. and the lingo obviously being different to the US. And I sold my first book in America, I think it was the beginning of November. And then the next day I sold 10, and then the next it was 50, and then by the middle of November it was 1,000 a day. And it just, I don't know what happened, it just exploded. But I mean, the UK, I have UK readers, and I suppose if you look on a ratio of how big America is, there's no denying that my success there has been greater than here. But I think, I don't know why, I have no idea why. If anything, I wouldn't have thought that they've embraced my Britishness, and that's wonderful. They've really embraced everything about it.
How do you feel that you have this sort of fan club over there called the Ladies?
That's just kind of stuck. My readers in America, they call me the little British girl, and the main character in the book, the male, the hero, he calls the heroine Lady. And I think I don't know, ladies, exclamation mark, and it just stuck. So they're the ladies now.
How would you, for those who haven't read them, or about to read them, or have read them, how would you describe your novels?
It's essentially a crazy, passionate love story. But of course it's got the erotic edge. Quite a sharp edge. But it is a love story, there's substance. It's not just about sex. And I've been told it's a very good story.
Is it just these 3 books which are for those characters now?
Yes.
What does it mean to you? If we go back to the start then, what are your sort of roots in Northampton? Where did you go to school, that sort of things?
My upper school was Western Fayville. My middle school was Cliftonville. My lower school was Simpson Avenue.
So when did you leave Western Fayville?
I did a year of sixth form. I had a waitressing job at Billing Aquadrome, which I loved from the age of 15. After a year of sixth form, I decided to get a job, and I found a job at a local company called Bell Amusements, and in the jukebox department. And I loved music, so it was great because at 17 I could listen to music all day long and compile programmes for pub jukeboxes according to the clientele or the pub where it was, that sort of thing. It was great. And then I got accepted onto a nursing course at Northampton General. But my dad's business was growing really rapidly, and he invited me to go and work with him. And it was the natural progression really for me. So I went to work for my father for 12 years, and I quit my job at the end of January, which was awful. I hated doing it. It would have been easier if I'd just worked for anybody else, you know, but I felt like I was leaving my dad in the lurch a little bit. But another family member's taken my place, so that's okay.
So what was the business that you...
Paving, A&L Paving, quite prolific in the paving industry. Done a lot of work on the Olympic Park. Yeah, it's very well established, 26 years I think this year. It's been going, and it's my dad and my uncle that run it.
So when did you start tapping out the books?
It was the end of 2011 I finally sat down. It was all for a long time before that. It was building, the story was building and building in my head until I got to the point where I didn't know if I'd be any good at writing, but I did it for me. I wrote the story for me in the end. And a friend read it after I'd finished. I finished the second one before I told my friend Kate, and she convinced me to let her read it, and she said that it would be an injustice if I didn't do something with it. So I did.
Was it, with all the components in there, as you said, there's this love story and there's this sexual tension and erotica, whatever words one is used to use. How easy was it to do those different components?
I've been told that my books are jam-packed with emotion and feeling, but I thought when I was writing it, if I could feel it, and these are just like words as well, it had to have that angsty feel, kind of drag people in, and even though it was only me at the time, sort of bash them around the head with emotion and then leave them a bit exhausted at the end of it. And I think it's worked.
Are you already planning the next books?
There's an embargo on that. I'm not allowed to talk about that. There's something in the works.
In the pipeline?
Mhm.
That's okay. So yeah, how does it now feel that Jodi Ellen Malpas, Northampton is #1 in New York?
Madness, isn't it, really? Crazy. Absolutely mad. The day it went to #1 on Amazon, which was just amazing. There's millions of books on Amazon. To be #1 on that was pretty damn incredible. The New York Times #1 is just... I don't think it's even sunk in still, you know, because so much is going on. I'm in like a bit of a whirlwind, and it will eventually sink in, but so much is happening. It's just, when I say it, it's just like, oh, that just can't be right. There's something not right here, but yeah, stunned.
Are you slowly getting used to the media attention now?
Well, it's only been a couple of weeks, and I've always, you know, like I said, it's gone to another level, and I've never had to, you know, I interact with my readers through social media. It's great. You can sit and type your answer, and you know, kind of hiding really behind a Facebook page.
Is this in a sense the hard part?
Yes.
You're almost, there's your books, there's your readers, here's you, and now you're actually going to reveal and say, here I am.
Yeah, there's obviously people know what I look like because there's pictures of me, but a lot of my readers say that I've got a great relationship with them. Some of them having been around since day one and sort of come on the journey with me a bit, and it's really incredible, like the messages that I get. And I shall meet some of them soon as well, because obviously the signings are going to start, and I've got my first one next month in Vegas, which I'm absolutely terrified about. But I'm taking a friend for support, and I should probably sit in the corner and rock back and forth. But I've got to get used to it. It's, you know, it's putting yourself out there, isn't it? Yeah.